Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. Guess who's back? Shady's back. Indeed, left in the capable hands of the boys yesterday. But in the words of The Who, as I tweeted out yesterday, the kids are all right. I think the boys done good. You guys can tell me in the comment section. But there you go. I'm Tony Haggerty. As you know, at Haggerty10 on a Twitter handle. And I'm joined today by Aidan Macdonald at Aidan C. Macdonald on a Twitter handle, and Ryan McGinlay at the Ryan McGinlay. Gentlemen, I heard the kids did all right. You can let me know that. Did the boys do good?
Went all right, Tony. I thought, it was always an experience hosting it, not quite at the level you're capable self, but no, it was
Did it go that far?
enjoyable. There was plenty to talk about. Obviously, we discussed the youth team cup final. Me and Ryan, we previewed, obviously, the women's Glasgow that we'll come on to discuss, and also the Scottish Cup final kick-off time being moved. So, no, it was enjoyable. But I'll let Ryan answer whether or not he thought he enjoyed it.
And as I said on the Twitter handle yesterday, Ryan, I don't mind other guys messing with the pod. It's all good. You know what I mean? How did you enjoy
absolutely.
it?
It was good fun. Nice of you to trust us with your baby of sorts, you would say. So it was all good. Yeah, it was an enjoyable experience, as it always has been on the briefing.
420 somewhere, young team, easy indeed. The YT there, the young team, brilliant.
Yeah, I'll take being called young. By the way.
We will discuss all matters Celtic in a second. We've got a new deal for you guys. You can see it running along the strap line. There it is. And all for a click of a button. You can help support top quality journalism, covering the club you love. Subscribe to the Celtic Way, and it'll cost you £4 for 4 months of access to everything that we do on the site. That's £4 for 4 months of unlimited access to everything that's written on the site. All for a click of a button, guys. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. I'll keep flicking these up as the guys are coming in. Andrew Galeasi watched after the event. The young boys did well, Tony. Delighted to hear that. Excellent. Tremendous. And as always, we say thank you to SENECA. The Celtic Way Morning Briefing is now sponsored by SENECA Medical Group. And as everybody knows, SENECA are the #1 hair transplant company in Europe, and they offer innovative hair restoration treatments. And you can find out more about SENECA via the links in the description of this video. Gentlemen, small matter of association football taking place in Old Reekie this weekend. On Sunday, Celtic travel to Tynecastle. It all comes down to this. It's insignificant, according to Stephen Naismith. It's irrelevant to Hearts, I believe. But Celtic need one more win, Aidan, to be crowned champions for the second season running under Ange Postecoglou. Are they going to win the league at Tynecastle, Aidan, or are they going to leave it for the following week and go to Ibrox and really rub it in by getting a result there?
No, yeah, Tony, it's going to be done. It's going to be done this weekend. I'm going to dive right in with sort of
early prediction.
Saying it's going to be done, and I like that sentence there. Ange Postecoglou's Celtic have the chance to become champions for the second time. It's a phenomenal sentence, one that we've probably been thinking about for a while, but the fact that it can be confirmed this weekend is phenomenal. And I know we'll come on to discuss sort of individuals that maybe contributed to that, maybe next week potentially if the job does get done. But no, what a sentence that is, Tony.
Robert Gibson coming in, Ryan. Ryan's beard made it look like a responsible adult was present. Did good, lads. There you go. Nothing escapes from Ryan. Celtic to win on Sunday, Ryan, to clinch the second consecutive league flag. Are you taking that? Is that what's happening in your world?
I'll take that, and I think we're going to win it in style as well. I think we'll put a couple of goals past this Hearts team. This Hearts team have been leaking goals recently, so I expect us to do the same to them. Hopefully it's a very unhappy day for the home support, and the away fans will be singing for 90 minutes as we lift the title, or we get confirmed the title. We need to wait to lift it, but fingers crossed we get it over the line on Sunday, and I think we will.
Aidan, Ryan, they're saying Celtic will turn on the style. Is that piling on the agony, putting on the style? Will we hear that cascading from the stands at Tynecastle on Sunday, do you think?
I hope so, Tony. I think given the sort of recent performances against Hearts have been relatively positive. I know there was that sort of thriller at the start of the season, the 4-3 game. Probably one of the matches of the campaign when you look back on it. I know at the time it was quite a stressful game to watch, but we can look at it now in a positive light, given Celtic did win. And at that time, obviously, Celtic and Rangers were pretty close in terms of points. I think it was only a few points in it. So yeah, there's been a few interesting games against Hearts this campaign. That really good performance in the Scottish Cup as well, Tony, which I know also you were there covering. It was another one. And yeah, hopefully it is more the same. And like you say, maybe that chant will be coming from the stands.
Now, Ryan, that was, as Aidan mentioned there, a very important 3 points that day. That was the first day that VAR was introduced into Scottish football. I think Celtic...
don't mention it, Tony. Don't mention it.
And Celtic came a cropper a couple of times on that occasion, but still managed to dig the result out. And everybody talks about turning points in the season. They usually come later on, but that was a real early indication that Celtic had the spirit and the bottle to go and win tight games like that, and to overcome, decisions and adversity in terms of the teething problems, as they said. But it could have knocked you off your stride. But I remember the manager saying, why are we all getting so worked up about this? It's been around forever in a day in other places, but Celtic just got the job done. Unlikely goal-scoring winning hero. If Sean's watching, big up to Greg Taylor. Sean's big member of the Greg Taylor fan club. But I think that game showed you, it was an early kind of title marker for me, certainly, anyway, that Celtic dug it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I would totally agree with that. It felt as if that day, every player on the park, especially the Celtic players, were guinea pigs for the sort of VAR experiment that was going on that day. It seemed as if there was no rules involved whatsoever, and the rules weren't getting applied in the correct way. So we did have to come through adversity in that game, and it really did show the strength and character of the team to come back numerous times. We had penalties given against us. Yes, both were penalties looking back on it, but you were just maybe looking for consistency the other way about. But to come back, I remember Maeda's goal. I remember Greg Taylor's screamer to finish the game. Or any goal. I would say any goal from Greg Taylor's a screamer, to be honest. He shouldn't be scoring goals. So it was quite an outstanding moment. You were talking about the Greg Taylor fan club. I feel like everybody's joined that this season. What a season the man has had. He's been absolutely brilliant. But yeah, we had to show strength and character through adversity, and we certainly did that day. And it really did set a marker for the rest of the season. And I feel like we've not stopped since then. I know we've not stopped all season, but that even then, that was a real sort of trailblazing performance. And we've kept that going throughout the whole season. And we're rightfully where we belong, on the clutches of getting another league title.
Michael Duffin comes in, comes in and says, in my opinion, just get it finished and concentrate on the treble. I think that's wise and sage advice there from Michael. None of this, let's win it at Ibrox, keeper. It's Hearts at Tynecastle on Sunday. Get the job done. Get those green and white ribbons wrapped around the trophy. Celebrate it, and then go to Ibrox as champions. And pressure's off. It is what you would call, in a kind of term of the phrase, a dead rubber in terms of Glasgow derbies. It was still going to be nice to go there as champions and win again and show. I know you're shaking your head, Brian. There's never a dead rubber.
Never a dead rubber. Never.
Yeah, of course. But in terms of Celtic's need for a result, if they win next week, then they don't. But it would be nice to go there as champions and again turn on the style and win again and see if the goalposts continually change. You try and complete an unbeaten season against Rangers, Aidan, but even better to go there as champions.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to go there as champions, just get the job done on the weekend. I know maybe the sort of example me and Ryan were discussing it yesterday of the 2017-18 season. Celtic lost to Hibernian and then beat Rangers 5-0 to win the league. And at the time, look, it was a good laugh, to be blunt about it. But I think in hindsight, you would always rather just get it done as soon as possible, Tony. You don't want to leave any sort of opportunity to potentially not. It wouldn't be negative, obviously, if you went to win the next two games and not win the league and win it in the third match. It would be fine. You would still look back on it as you've won the league and it was a successful season, of course. But, and just maybe made reference to, or the fans have made reference to anyway, sort of going for these records and all that sort of stuff. You're so close to potentially achieving things like that now. You don't want to let it slip with a few games to go, particularly when the sort of week is still there to be won over this next game, and then obviously the unbeaten record against Rangers that you sort of mentioned, Tony. That should hopefully be the motivation. After that, when the sort of 3 league games look previously, as I mentioned, that Brendan Rodgers team, even they dropped points in that sort of final wee post-split 2 or 3 games, because it can be hard sometimes to just keep the juices flowing. But definitely Tony will be wanting to try and get the job done at the weekend.
Ryan, I remember Martin O'Neill's team clinching the title, and I think their very next game they lost a record that they had so many games at Parkhead and not lost. And they lost 2-0 to Dundee. If you remember that far back, I think Fabian Caballero scored a double.
Before our time, Tony.
Yeah, I know, before your time, but those in the comment section will remember it. So it is kind of like, as Aidan said, if you do win the title, the temptation is to take your foot off the pedal. But if Celtic win the title at Tynecastle Sunday, they are going to Ibrox, so there is still stuff to play for that unbeaten season against Rangers, and just to show that you are worthy champions type thing. I mentioned the phrase dead rubber, but I know it's not a dead rubber. There's never a dead rubber in these kind of games. So you know what I mean, though.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that even if we had played Rangers in the Sydney Super Cup, it wouldn't have been a friendly whatsoever.
Yeah.
These games take care of themselves, as you've said previously. If Celtic were playing at 3 o'clock in the morning, you would be there, and it wouldn't be a friendly. That is just the way it is. I just think that the prospect of the sort of narrative coming out that if we do win the league on Sunday, then certain sectors getting tied up in knots about a guard of honour would be quite funny to listen to over the next week. So I would like to hear stuff like that. I just want the league done as soon as possible. Then we can focus on other records to break and the potential treble on the line. We'll still get plenty to play for when you look at all the records that could be broken. So we have plenty of motivation in the next few weeks, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with that, Aidan. As I said a while ago, your goalposts shift, don't they? Your aims and whatever shift as well. Going to flick this up from Derek Crawford. He said, Tony, I've just read your first book. He's contacting me for all his coupons from now on. I think that's alluding to the fact that I've won a couple of belters. Yes, indeed. Lucky man that I am. But hey, they were put to good use. First one was put to go to take me, my brother, my dad to Seville wedding. At least I didn't ruin it. The second one was put towards my wedding, Ryan. So hey, can't say I didn't do decent things with those winnings, Aidan. But there you go.
Is there any chance you can pass some of that bet and work on to me, Tony? I'll be honest. It's been a while.
But remember to bet responsibly. These were things that I won for £2.50 bets or something like that. So ridiculous. So, but there you have it as an aside. But thank you, Derek. Glad you enjoyed the book and you read it and you enjoyed it. Thanks very much. Very kind. Yeah, but I think there's just a real kind of buzz about the Celtic supporters just now. They are constantly smiling, Aidan and Ryan, just the way the team's played and the position that they've manoeuvred themselves into under Ange Postecoglou, given when he came in. But to be sitting here on the cusp of 2 in a row and playing some wonderful football, seeing some wonderful players at the club, and the club being taken in a direction that we've all embraced. Ange's got the buy-in from the directors, he's got it from the players, but most importantly of all, he has got the buy-in from the supporters as well. There is not a person on planet Celtic that does not love this manager and this group of players. So I just think, you look forward to every Celtic game now, don't you? And we preview it and we do our predicted 11s, we do our predicted scorelines. But there's a kind of spring in the step, isn't there? So we kind of joy in the heart and all that kind of stuff. But it has gripped you a bit more since Ange's came in, hasn't it?
No doubt, Tony. Absolutely no doubt. I mean, like, none of us got a bad word to say about Ange. The sort of adversity he had to overcome at the start, whether it be the media's perception of him, some maybe fans' perception, the rough sort of start to the league campaign, Champions League getting knocked out of that originally. In fact, he came back, won the league. And I think I remember you and Sean discussing it at the time when I was watching the briefing. how it looked like Celtic were just starting to hit that peak near the end of last season and they were going to kick on, and you were both bang on, to be fair. That's exactly what happened, because the football's went to another level this campaign, and it feels like it can only get better next season as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. There's the mantra, they never stop, so I do think the manager will be planning for next season. I think he alluded to the other day that the scouting's already started, hasn't it? Or the recruitment has started for next season, bringing in players in, so they've got immediate targets, so if this team are going to keep evolving and improving, I wrote about the evolution of the team the other day. I just can't wait to see what the future holds as well under this manager while he's still here, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see, especially what players he brings in the summer, because as he said before, he works on these things at the end of January, start of February. So by the time we get to the transfer window, a lot of our deals will probably be done. That's really, really exciting to me. I'm interested to see how much money we spend in the summer, because there's money to be spent there. We know that the club is in a really, really good place financially. Are we going to get to the point that we're going to spend, not to tout anything, but are we going to break our transfer record on a player? I don't know. I don't know if that's maybe Ange's mantra or his style. He maybe wants to buy players for less and then mould them into players. But if the right player is there, then I don't see why not. I think if the board really, really want to back Ange, let's give him a couple of really high quality players, and let's see what we can do next season in the Champions League.
Record being Edouard, £9 million. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So,
I think if the player's there, they should spend the outlay.
I think if it was an Ange player that he wanted and it suited, and you were talking in excess of 10 million, then possibly. But I'm like you. I think Ange likes to bring in players, for more, bang for your buck, as the Americans call it, isn't that right? Even so, and then mould them into players. But I see what you mean on that. I don't think he would balk at paying 10 million for a player, but I think he's more a bit pragmatic when he thinks he could maybe get 4 players for 2.5 million each. That kind of thing.
He did say in his very first press conference, I remember just under 2 years ago, that he's a builder. He likes to build things, and I think he's like that with players as well. He likes to mould players into the sort of characters and people that he likes. So yeah. He might like working with these players, and he might be able to just get 2 or 3 players with that money that you would spend on one player. I mean, look at the talent that we've brought in. Haggerty for under 2 million, Kyogo for under 5. It's incredible. I mean, if the players are there, then I would give him that money, because I think he's got that trust, and he deserves the trust of the fans and the board respectively. But if the players are there for under, then I think those players should be brought in as well. It's a great situation to be in. It's a great argument to have.
Aidan, I remember he mentioned, was it Iran or Iraq as untapped markets for players a while ago, and then he said, in fact, I don't want to say too much in case you divert attention from other clubs to those areas. So he is all over this. So if there's a 10 million player to be had and Celtic want to do that, I'm sure he would. But I think Ange is more pragmatic in the sense, in terms of the finances at the club, when he realises, Celtic possibly could do that, in the position to do that. But I think he would rather bring in maybe 2 or 3 players for that kind of outlay, and work with them and make them better, and make them, mould them into that system. I remember he spoke about, have to be the right people as well. We've touched upon that many times. But he says when he looks at a player, he envisages them in his team. So can they play this style? And that's how he watches them when he scouts them for a long, long time. So if he's doing that just now, I don't actually really care where it is. Iran, Iraq, Timbuktu, it doesn't bother me. Can I get enough good players in your team? And I trust this manager to sign good footballers and make them better.
Yeah, absolutely. Complete faith in Ange, complete faith in the recruitment team. The job they've done so far since the manager came in has been phenomenal. We know there's been the odd wee hit or miss, but for the majority of the time, I can't remember so much successful recruitment in recent years at Celtic. So many sort of players that have had to come in, perform really well. In terms of the sort of strategy of how much money they're spending, I agree with what both of you are saying there. Ange has obviously operated in a certain way so far, with the exception being, Carter, Vickers and Jota, who they did spend, 6 million plus on both of them, but you had to try before you buy of the loan option, so you kind of knew what you were getting. So it is shown that Celtic and Ange are willing to spend a bit more money if it comes to it. In terms of breaking the transfer fee, if the right player comes along, then I've got complete faith despite sort of the hype that would be around your most expensive ever player. If it was Ange bringing them in / this current recruitment team, I would have faith that they would come in and sort of contribute really well to the squad. Whether or not what position they would play, that's another story. Something that we'll probably come on to discuss more in depth when the season ends over the summer. But no, complete faith that whatever transfer strategy Celtic decide to go down this summer, that hopefully it will be effective.
Yeah, lots of people coming in saying, Brown Warrior saying he would rather see Celtic push the boat out on a European level striker. I think that's would chime with the thinking of a lot of people. Yeah, Punch McNugget, Ange the Builder, he's taken over from Bob. And Kenny Todd saying speculate to accumulate if Ange thinks it's right. Hey, there's a kids reference that you boys got, eh? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was more when you were talking about like Martin and Neil's team earlier, Tony, that was probably more what me and Ryan were watching.
That's great. That's great inclusiveness from you, Tony. Great inclusiveness.
Can he fix it? Yes, he can. I'm surprised I know that myself, to be honest. There you go. Kenny Todd, I think I like that. We speculate to accumulate if Ange thinks it's right. And Hazelford coming in. Love Ange's transfer mentality. Very canny, but works so well, and it's exciting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
that sums it up quite well. I think that comment, to be honest. Yeah, like that is pretty much what it's been so far. With the odd exception, which is going to happen when we need to remember Ange had to sign so many players, particularly in that summer. It's not like we had to just come in and add, 2, 3, 4. It's basically a whole new squad. When you're bringing in that much talent, that many individuals, there's going to be the odd one that doesn't work out, and it's not been anybody that's came in and it's sort of, if they were playing, you're looking at it and going, the team would be so much better. Probably the one people would jump to would be like James McCarthy or something like that, but McGregor's been brilliant in that position. We've now got a Wata that can fill in there, so we're not really going, the team would be in a much better place if James McCarthy had been playing. So yeah, just was worth touching on that comment when you brought it up, Tony, because it's been such a good strategy so far, and long may it continue.
Richard Taylor comes in. What boy band is Ryan performing in? I would have said no direction, Ryan, know what I mean? So, there we go. You can answer that.
I think we're all in sync with each other on this podcast.
Give us it, Ryan. Excellent. Love that.
Well done, Ryan. That was good to be fair.
Jeff, you see that? Thinking on his feet or thinking on his seat. Love it. Well done, Ryan. But hey, yeah, I think we're all kind of... Doesn't really matter how much money Celtic spend or don't spend. We know they will spend money in terms of bringing in a couple of players. We always worry about players going out the way. Taylor Bada possibly is the one that's been linked with a move for a while, but we'll talk about that in the fullness of time. But I think my thoughts are, and I said it this time last season as well, it's an exciting time to be at Celtic. Why wouldn't you stay for the duration of the manager's stay and strap yourself in for what I call the magic carpet ride? It's been 2 seasons of wonderfulness domestically. I think now the next mountain is Europe, isn't it? The next challenge. And I don't think the manager will rest until he's taken Celtic to the knockout stages of the Champions League or the latter stages of the Europa League, should they tumble out of the group stage of the Champions League. So that's my thoughts on the manager's next kind of, task that he sees befitting of the Celtic that he's managing. And I think that's the task that he sees at hand, Ryan. Could be wrong on that, but I'm trying to connect dots and read between the lines as I always do.
You guys know I love a hot take, and I think Ange Postecoglou is a European runaway from being a Celtic legend already. I do genuinely believe that. I think
that's no hot line. That's roasting.
I know, but wouldn't you just love a European run under this manager? I mean, you think about the love that the fans have for him. If he could take us to places to sort of far off regions in Europe in the latter stages of either the last 16 of the Champions League or a run in the Europa League or Conference League, whatever one we were to get into, I'd be absolutely delighted with that. I'm desperate for us to have a European run. I've never really had that in my Celtic supporting career, or Celtic supporting life, not career. So yeah, I'm absolutely desperate for that to transpire, and I hope it happens soon.
Aidan, you want the same?
Yeah, I echo everything Ryan said there. We know it's for the majority of the last sort of 20 plus years, really, since Seville. It's not been good enough from Celtic. And there's been the odd sort of wee bit here and there, but it's usually been one-off group stage matches. Qualifying for the last 60, I know Strachan did it twice, which the more you look back at it with that team was a very good achievement. But, it ended there after the last 16 both times. Neil Lennon obviously got through, beating Barcelona. I know I'm going over old ground here, but it was a good achievement. Then getting to the last 16 once again, he was undone by a good Juventus team. And then Lennon again in his second spell, obviously, beating Lazio, but once again fell when it came to Copenhagen in the sort of round of 32. It has been missing. It's been a European run for Celtic. There has been results here and there, but an actual sustained season of going into the latter stages of a tournament, whether it is the Champions League or the Europa League, it has been lacking. And I think if Andrew's to provide that for a lot of people, particularly maybe Ryan and I's generation, that haven't seen an actual proper European run for at all, really, it would, or since we've been able to watch Celtic, I think that would definitely make him go up higher in our estimations, no doubt about that.
Start a couple of comments here. Now, Jason Lee. I'm a horrible person for saying this, but we're more likely a Europa League team.
I think that's the truth.
And B comes in, even if Celtic won the Conference League, he'd party like it was 1999.
Absolutely. Go. I mean, you seen when Roma won it, Tony, last season.
Without doubt.
He had a massive it was a massive deal to them in Roma, obviously a big club as well. It's a European trophy, there's no way you can undersell that. And particularly given Celtic, like I say, they have struggled in Europe, you're to suddenly pivot to winning a trophy of some sort it probably is a bit of a leap one right now, but since obviously the comment I mentioned it, if you're to suddenly pivot and get to that level, it would be phenomenal. I don't think any of us or really any Celtic fans would be putting it down if you were to win the Conference League. But there is good teams in that competition. We've seen with Bodo Glimt last season. It's not easy just because it's a so-called third competition, but it would be a phenomenal achievement.
Yeah, definitely. Wee musical team going on here, guys. Tony's a young meatloaf. Does that make me a fruit loaf as opposed to a meatloaf? But there you go. We'll see how that goes. I know I say that, you know what I mean? I just jump off the broadcast like a bat out of hell. Is that what I do, eh? There you go. Never mind. They're all frivolous in the chat, and I like that. It's all good. Plasticine Day Friday, innit? Games day at school. Celtic are on the verge of winning the championship. Everybody in a frivolous mood. Aidan, let's put it that way. Now, without giving too much away of your predicted 11 guys, because obviously we'll hear what the manager says and get the roll call of fitness and otherwise. But any certainties in there for you? My first certainty would be Kyogo, because he's on 29 goals and he's one more would give him that magical 30 mark. I would like to see him do it at Tynecastle. I would even like it to be a title clincher, because in terms of symmetry, as Ryan was talking about before the broadcast, he made his debut at Tynecastle, a 2-1 defeat. Yeah. And he came on and Celtic lost the game to a last-minute goal, and everybody was doom and gloom. Merchants were out, including myself at that point. I was like, no. But indeed, there you have it. But yeah, I would like that kind of to come full circle. Your man scored. He scored a lot of important goals for Celtic. Tati also scored his first goal at Tynecastle, a screamer from about 300 yards out, wasn't it? If I remember right, I was there that night. He just went in like a bullet, even in slow motion. But yeah, so lots of things that we'd like to see come to the fore at Tynecastle. But certainly, Kyogo's a certain starter for me, unless he's pulled up at training and Angel Lightens later on this afternoon. But yeah, I want to see him score his 30th and wrap up the title by hitting that magical mark. Guys, you concur? Go along with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. The last time we won the league at Tynecastle, I seem to remember Scott Sinclair scoring a hat-trick. I'd like to see Kyogo do the same at Tynecastle, to be honest. Let's not just break the 30-goal barrier. Let's shatter through it and get him to 32 goals. He's on a bit of a goal drought. Is it 2 games he's went without scoring? Or something like that. That's too long for Kyogo. He needs to make up for lost time here. Give me a hat-trick on Sunday, please. I'd like, as much as we talk about Kyogo, I'd like to see Owen this team a bit more and give him some maybe starting minutes. Maybe that'll be the case once the league is won. Maybe the game against St Mirren, that'll be a good game to start him at home. I want to see more of this guy. He seems so desperate to make it in the hoops, and he's got some real raw attributes. But there's definitely a player there. You can see it from his touch. His first touch, you know, there's a player there, and all he needs to just do is just be sort of moulded into this Ange player. It's definitely there. I'm looking forward to seeing him more and more in the coming years. But this is Kyogo's time, and I'm very confident that Kyogo's going to do the business on Sunday.
Aidan, I mentioned Kyogo because he's been speaking today in the newspapers, and he's just enjoying life in general. And he said, "While I've been here at the club, a lot of players have left and a lot of players have come in. I'm honoured to be able to stay at the club and play here. I want to enjoy the games. We still have 5 league games left, and we want to enjoy it as much as we did in the past seasons. Everyone is supporting me to get the goals. I just work hard to provide something back for them because they support me all the time. Being at this club is an honour already. By scoring the goals, I can give something back to the supporters and the club. And we think this is another game in the league and we want to enjoy it. We will prepare and try to win the game. We will see the results at the end of the season. Every game we work hard and we will see very pragmatic, as you would expect from Kyogo. Just wants to help the team and the supporters, but you get the general gist that he loves playing for Celtic, and I think he'll be around for a wee while yet. Some people saying that he might leave at the end of this season, but not according to that, Aidan. I think your man's found his happy place, as they say, spiritual home and all of that jazz.
What a man he is, Tony. What a man he is. When you hear those quotes, just makes you love him even more. Kyogo's a phenomenal player. The exact thing Ange wants from a striker in terms of his movement. You know, all these stats you see coming out, he touches the ball like maybe sometimes less than 30, 40 times in a game, only touches it, 7, 8, 9 times in the box, but he ends up with 2 goals. It's just playing exactly the way Ange wants to play. And I think I've said before that maybe you could get a striker that might score slightly more goals in a season. This is probably referring more to the start of the campaign, because I know he's kicked on phenomenally, but I don't think you would get somebody that would fit and make the team as good as Kyogo has. You might get somebody that can knock you out another 5 goals on top of what Kyogo's got coming into the campaign, but is he going to actually, would somebody like that potentially hold back the team because the way Ange wants to play? I would say potentially. The way he leads the line's phenomenal, and he'll be wanting to do better in the Champions League this year. We discussed it at the time, Tony, with Sean, how it was disappointing, but domestically he's been amazing. And the goals against Rangers, I know he's probably going to be quite hard for him to tie it now because there's only one derby left, but the fact he's like 2 goals off Larsson's record or 7 against one season in Rangers is amazing. And you get 5 goals in 3 games against them. It was what a run, and massive. Those goals in the League Cup final, those are iconic ones that you're going to look back on 10, 15, 20 years, even longer from now, and go, oh, where was I when I seen those goals go in? They're going to be part of compilations for years to come. And what a sign he's been for, as Ryan was saying earlier, under 5 million. I think it was about 4.5. It's a brilliant bit of business, and I don't think he will move on this summer. I think with his age profile, he's likely to still have another couple of years at Celtic, to be honest.
Ryan, I noticed, Aidan touched upon it there, that Larsson scored 7 against Rangers in the one season. That's record. Kyogo's on 5. But I noticed in the cup final, the Rangers he was the danger man, wasn't he? They just shackled him. He didn't allow him, and he still managed to move, and he got about, and he was trying to link up, and his movement was terrific. But again, the spotlight went on to someone like Maeda. So whilst Kyogo was occupying them, Maeda and Jota were maybe not as occupied as much. No surprise those 2 conjured up the winning goal. So it's what you're doing for the team. Even if he's not scoring, he's still doing a brilliant job for the team. He is occupying defenders' minds, and that's in any space he was running into was being blocked off by Rangers defenders, basically because they were terrified of him. And so Ange knows that. So if you can get into their mindset and their minds, say, look, you might have to sacrifice yourself in those terms, because after those 2 goals at Hampden the last time, you're a marked man, but that leaves space for others, Maeda and Jota. So I'm all for that. I just think that brilliant bit of management as well, and he does it. His movement frightens defenders, basically. And also, Celtic go to the Ibrox having won the title. We man will not care. Somebody might have a word in his lug and say, look, you could equal Larsson's record if he scored 2. Do you know, I think he'll be out trying all out to score 2. he'll be running all over the joint, So I love that. I love that fact. And these are wee personal things that players like, and Jota studying up in the history and all that. I'm sure Kyogo will have done the same. So these are wee personal goals that they might not make it. But if somebody were to say to them, look, a double at Ibrox and you'll have equalled this guy who's revered, that gives you an extra wee bit in your step, doesn't it, when you're walking out that tunnel and you think, can I do this? Challenge yourself to do it.
Without a doubt, I love the dynamic. That's the most unfrightening guy. If you could draw the most unfrightening guy in the world, it probably looked like Kyogo. But he's so scary on the pitch for defenders. He just occupies. It's his aura, the aura that Kyogo's got. Between the aura and the movement that he's got around the pitch, defenders are so frightened of him. They don't. Every week they must know that when Celtic come to town or when they go to Celtic, they're coming up against the best striker in the league because nobody else has the movement that Kyogo has. It's a different level when it comes to Kyogo. When it comes to the comments that he's made, I was like, well, do you want to put that on paper then? Let's get an extension signed. Let's make sure that you're at the club long term, because I think he's got 2 years in his deal at the end of the season. I want to see an extension. Now that would be a great start to the summer and pre-season. If your star man is the guy to sign up for year 3 of the Ange Revolution, as you've called it, or the Ange Evolution. In terms of going to Ibrox, I'm sure someone will mention to him that these records are there for the taking. I'm going to throw out another one out here. I think he is the best since Larsson, so I think he should be going for this record or that record against Rangers, and he might just do it. I mean, if he is in the mood,
there you go.
Who is going to stop him? It's been shown he's absolutely unstoppable.
Everybody's in a singing mood or a musical mood today. I'll just flag this one up. Brilliant. Love it. Edward Vajevol's Kyogo moves better than John Travolta. You having that, Aidan?
His movement is right up there with the world-class performance, Tony, as I'll phrase it. I feel I'm running out of good things to say about him, and it's going to be hard if there's any sort of newsletter or feature topics coming up that I need to do discussing Kyogo's brilliance, because it's getting to the stage that he's been just phenomenal. And hopefully, as Ryan was talking about there, it'd be brilliant to see him sort of sign up a contract extension. And if that's him committing to year 3 of the Ange project, going into the Champions League, if he can notch a couple of goals in that next year, then I think he will firmly cement himself as a sort of probably the best since Larsson. At the moment, I'd probably maybe still just have Dembele ahead of him, Tony. I'm always pushing the Dembele propaganda. The only reason being, right, I know Kyogo has more goals. I did an article on it myself earlier this year. Kyogo's got more goals in less games, I think, over Dembele's 2 seasons. But both of them had individual injuries across that campaign. Just at the moment, because of Dembele's goals in the Champions League, that's the only reason I would have him ahead of Kyogo. But I'm well aware of the fact that Dembele's first 2 or his only 2 seasons at the club, he did have 2 goals at the Champions League group stages. Kyogo's only had this season, so it'd probably be more of a sort of stat to look at after the next campaign. But yeah, he's what a signing, and just the fact it's been maybe rare that if you look back that maybe J League players have made that jump in the summer. Outside of that, you've seen that apart from Kyogo, they've all came in the January window when their season ends. But Ange wanted Kyogo so much, and Kyogo obviously bought into that project. They were able to sort of kind of break a trend and bring him in mid-season, which once again makes me love him even more.
Kevin Ferrier, the wee man can get a hat-trick at Ibrox. He's saying Ryan and Sons of Scotland. I know you're wanting him to pen an extended contract, but I'm not sure if he'll pen this contract. He'll be on Strictly soon with his moves. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if he'll sign up for that.
I think Hagggerty would give him a run for his money with his move. They're both as silky as each other.
Yeah, honestly, God, it's brilliant. Robert Wallace, Kyogo must have snake hips. He's in a mad mood today. It's brilliant. Love it. Keep the comments coming in. Tremendous. Can't beat it. And Jason Lee comes in and says he thinks Kyogo has been Ange's most important signing. I think it's pretty hard to argue with that, guys.
I'm a Carter Vickers, probably, I would say.
Yeah, it depends on what you're looking for. I just think he knew that Kyogo could hit the ground running here, and it would be fit, and he needed somebody to score goals and to win you matches. So love Carter Vickers as well. Won't deny that. But
honourable mentions to Hart and Hatate as well, I would say.
Yes.
But for two different reasons.
I think you could go through all the signings that Ange's brought in and their merits, can't you? Because they've all added something to this team, which is why they're going to be champions for the second year running, or they're champions elect going into Sunday's match at Tynecastle. Now, before we go, we'll mention the Celtic women's team who stumbled to a 1-0 defeat last night, Aidan, to Rangers at in Airdrie. I don't know if you watched it, but I'm still puzzled as to why that Caitlin Hayes goal was disallowed. Still can't see any foul there. I just thought the Rangers goalkeeper had made a gross error of judgment, standing behind her and then flapping for the cross, because she doesn't actually get touched, does she? Or if there's a foul there, I can't pick it out. And I know it upset Fran Alonso. It certainly upset Caitlin Hayes, who had a couple of choice words to say about it in the after-match interview. So, but, you know, I'm puzzled as to why that goal was disallowed. Then they lost 1-0. Tremendous shot and goal, actually just took the Celtic goalkeeper by surprise in it. Not a lot she could have done. It was in the corner, hit the post, and it via the post. So that puts them, 5 points behind, Aidan, does it?
Yeah, so Glasgow City obviously won the night before against Hibs, opened up the 5-point gap, but then obviously Celtic were still to play Rangers. If Celtic had won last night, that'd have been back down to 2, and then obviously they're playing Glasgow City at Parkhead next week. That'd have been a chance to go top of the league. Yep. Obviously, it's still a massive game, because if they do beat Glasgow City next week, it goes back down to the 2 points, which obviously then they'd sort of be chasing it in the last 2 games, but it wouldn't be in Celtic's hands. Whereas if they'd won last night, it would have been, in terms of the goal being chopped off, Tony, bizarre. I don't know what the officials seen there, really. Still, I was trying to watch it today, or this morning, I should say, back, because I knew we were going to discuss it briefly, like to see if I could sort of try and not give the referees the benefit of the doubt, but maybe try and think, I wonder if they were doing this. But nah, bizarre decision, Tony. Don't know what they were playing at, and it could potentially be a decision that cost Celtic the league, because I know even a point wouldn't have been the best result last night, but a point would have, brought it back to 4, which then would have meant if Celtic won next week, it would have went down to 1. Whereas now, it's as much as it is a really important game next week, it's just not going to probably have the same impact. You're only going to have a few games left after that.
Yeah, listen, I'm baffled by that decision, Ryan. I still can't see where the foul is. I really don't, and it could prove costly at this time of the season. And I know Fran Alonso was really, really felt frustrated. He said that in his after-match comments. And Kaiser comes in. To be fair, he was there last night, and he's, "Morning, Kaiser, how you doing? The game was great." He spoke to Fran after the game. What a guy he is, very friendly. I'm pleased about that, Kaiser, that he gave you some time and he was very friendly with you, because he was genuinely livid, I think, at that decision, Ryan. It's a huge, huge decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's another one of these footballing cliches, but goalkeepers are overprotected, I would say, when it comes to these sort of challenges in the box. So I don't see where the foul is. If the referee can point out where the foul is, then I'd be happy to hear their opinion on it. It's nice to also see the consistency in the refereeing is in every sector of football in Scotland. It's just incompetent. How can I don't understand how that can be a foul. The goalkeeper just falls and the referee buys it. But it's very disappointing. But it's nice that Fran Alonso is spending time after the game to speak to fans, even off the back of a really damaging result for his team's title hopes.
I saw him at the youth final as well, and he was sitting in the stand with the Celtic scarf on and everything. It was just great to watch that somebody like that has really been bitten by the Celtic bug, and he's just so keen and enthusiastic about every facet of the club, the men's team, the women's team, and the under-18 team. He was lending his support, so big up to him. Everybody said well done to Ange for being there watching the team, but Fran Alonso was also at Hampden the other night as well, so good on him. And yeah, just felt bitterly disappointed for him, because you could see it in his after-match comments that he gave to the TV. Guys, he was raging, but I told him the silver line to the result was that these Rangers wouldn't lie down to Glasgow City and they would be focused on getting back to work. That's fair enough, because Rangers are now back in with a title shout as well as Celtic, so the three of them in a kind of three-way fight for it, aren't they, Aidan?
Yeah, Rangers, they weren't out of the race because mathematically they were still able to achieve it, but that win last night probably has dragged them back into it. I guess for Celtic's point of view is just need to win next week, win all the games between now and the end of the season, hope that Rangers maybe beat Glasgow City as well, which they did recently, I think. So yeah. that's another opportunity they might pop up. It's going to be difficult. I think that was a bit of a body blow last night, to put it bluntly. Yeah. I know obviously the manager will be saying it's still there, and it is still there, but I just think giving a team like Glasgow City the advantage at this stage, that I know they didn't win the league last season, but they've been there, done it before. I think we've touched on before Tony, that obviously they've done well in the Champions League. They are a good side, so it's a bit of a body blow, to be honest. I was pretty gutted when that result happened last night. I know it should have probably been at least a draw because the unfair goal chopped off, but yeah, it was a bit of a sore one.
Definitely. Now we've come to that time. We've just went over the 45-minute mark, a half of football, as you would say. But prediction time, guys, for Tynecastle. And bearing in mind, Ryan's already said Scott Sinclair got a hat-trick last time they won the league at Tynecastle. He's tipping Kyogo for a hat-trick. So go on, Ryan. I'll let you go first with your hot take or stunning verdict when you go.
4-0 Celtic.
4-0 Celtic, you says Aidan. And I know it's stunning verdict, by the way. That was just an old journalistic thing we used to say to each other, give us your stunning verdict. But there you go, Aidan. On you go.
I didn't know if stunning verdict was referring to VAR. That was why I didn't know.
I thought the same.
It's got a double-edged sword meaning now, Aidan, to be fair.
Right,
so that's
Tony. I'll go similar to what Jason Lee said, 3-0.
3-0 Celtic.
Good strong performance, good win. And I'll be honest, I'm sold on the Kyogo hat-trick that Ryan mentioned earlier, so I'll go for a Kyogo hat-trick as well.
3-0, you're saying?
Yep, 3-0.
3-0, 4-0. Well, why not? I'll say do it in style. Go for the Celtic go nap, 5-0. There you have it. Wow. All right, so there's a 5-4-3 as I'm staring on the screen. But I think a convincing Celtic win, green and white ribbons on the Scottish Premiership trophy. Celtic win the title for the second year running, and then all roads will lead to Hampden, won't they? After that, Celtic try and clinch a world record 8th domestic treble, but we'll preview that in the days and weeks to come. Gentlemen, the young team, new direction, take that, NSYNC, Meatloaf, call us what you like. We're everything to all men and women today, aren't we, guys? I'm liking that kind of frivolity and jocularity of a Friday. It's wonderful. It's just nice to be in that position, isn't it? So there you go. But thank you. Another stellar and sterling contribution, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Aidan. First class. Thank you to all the commenters for all your musical japery as well, and just all your contributions talking about Sunday. You know the drill. It's always result dependent, isn't it, Aidan?
Always is, Connie. Always result dependent.
Yeah, indeed. Now, if you've enjoyed today, you can subscribe to the Celtic Way website and support top quality journalism covering the club you love. And our current offer, £4 for 4 months to everything that's written on the website. You've got unlimited access to that. And always for a click of a button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. And we also say thank you to SENECA. And as everybody knows by now, the Celtic Way Morning Briefing is sponsored by SENECA Medical Group. And SENECA are the #1 hair transplant company in Europe. And they offer innovative hair restoration treatments. And you can find out more about SENECA via the links in the description of this video. Gentlemen, enjoy your weekend. I hope it's a champion one. Sure it will be.
Very good, Tony. Very good.
I'm sure it will be. All right, we will reconvene on Monday, talk everything Celtic, hopefully with the title in the bag, and we'll look forward to going to Ibrox as the Scottish Premiership champions. Guys, thanks very much. Have a wonderful weekend. See you all soon.
Cheers, guys.